Sorry, excuse me. Hello everyone, how are you? I am Makeda Valletta, also known as the Body Scientist, and I am here live on my IG page. In case you're unfamiliar with me, I have a background in exercise science and sports science and nutrition science. I'm a strength and conditioning coach, a sports nutritionist. I have a holistic approach to the body and its performance. And for those of you who follow my work, you know I love talking about fat, okay? I think it's like the most important macronutrient and has the most propaganda around it and is super important, okay? So we're going to talk about the brain and brain health today, okay? Yeah. Let's talk about that. We're going to talk about cholesterol. Hey, Tarzan. We're going to talk about cholesterol. We're going to talk about DHA, EPA fats, okay, which people know as so-called fish oil. And it's funny. You know what? First, the video was going to be about fish oil versus olive oil. That's what the video was going to be about. And then I'm like, oh, I want to do a video on brain health. So I think it's going to be a combination of all these things, okay? So I don't have to do all these separate videos, okay? So, first of all, our brain, okay? Our brain is, what is it? Is it like 50% cholesterol? Hold on. I want to tell you the right fact. I think our brain is 50% cholesterol, somewhere between 25 and 50%, right? And our brain actually produces its own cholesterol, okay? Cholesterol, we have two cells in our brain. We have neurons and we have glial cells, okay? Neurons send electrical signals via synapses. And then we have glial cells which secrete cholesterol to produce the myelin sheaths. The myelin sheath actually protects the neuron. It's kind of like the rubber casing on a wire, okay? When you have a wire and the wire has a rubber casing, the myelin sheath is that. It's made from cholesterol, and it helps the electrical signals that are being sent. It helps them to be sent efficiently, quickly, orderly, okay? When the myelin sheath is deteriorating or not there, the signals are all over the place. And then we have things like multiple sclerosis, okay? Multiple sclerosis, there's a deterioration of the myelin sheath. And you know what they tell people with multiple sclerosis? They tell them to eat a low-fat diet and stay away from cholesterol. When really, that's exactly what they need, okay? Cholesterol is very important for your nerve transmissions and for your brain. All of your sex hormones are made from cholesterol, okay? Your testosterone, your estrogen, your progesterone, made from cholesterol. Your stress hormones, your cortisol, adrenaline, all of that stuff is made from cholesterol, okay? So hold on, wait, let me get this fact for you. Oh, my nose is itching, sorry. Okay, 25% of the body's cholesterol resides in the brain, okay? An organ that provides only 2 to 3% of the body's total weight. Cholesterol is so critical to the brain and all its functions that it manufactures cholesterol on site, sorry. The brain manufactures cholesterol as well, and the brain can uptake cholesterol that is circulating in our blood, okay, through the blood-brain barrier. And the brain produces cholesterol at night when we're asleep, which is one of the reasons why good sleep is so important for your mental health, okay? And this issue with cholesterol being so important for your brain, the health of your brain, signals being sent, is one of the reasons why babies, okay, pregnant women, nursing mothers, babies, growing children, and the aging, okay, the elderly, need as much cholesterol as possible, okay? People are being told, and they're pushing it on the kids too, which is why I noticed that college students now, they do not look like how people look like when I was in college, okay? I graduated college in 2003. The way people looked in those years, they look like developed. A lot of these college students now look prepubescent. Like, they just grew up on a diet of freaking soybean oil and corn syrup. Okay, that's what you get when you have this lack of certain nutrients, particularly from animal foods like liver. Like, if you're ever a certain age, you were given liver as a child. Kids now don't know what liver is. Maybe from certain cultures, they still give people, but in America, every kid had liver if they were of a certain age, but that has kind of gone away. And older people, when I say older, 70s, 80s, they usually like liver. Some younger people do too, but I'm just saying, kind of younger people tend not to like liver. But that is a really important food. Eggs. Eggs are critical for your brain. Okay? Every time I see somebody that lived to be over 100, okay? Every single time you ask them what they ate, eggs and bacon. They never say, oh, I was eating salad all the time and drinking green juice and eating low-fat yogurt. No, but they were eating eggs and bacon. Eggs are one of the best brain foods. I have a video on eggs. The choline in eggs, choline, which is also very important for your brain and how your brain sends signals. The only sources of choline are egg yolks and liver, which is why pregnant women should also eat lots of egg yolks and liver. And kids, babies' first foods, egg yolks and pureed liver. Okay? And the elderly, because liver is also very high in vitamin D and vitamin A, which are critical for so many things, right? Including brain function. So yeah, okay, so the this is a book that I highly recommend, okay, to anybody, because I've been studying. This is the thing, I have a background in nutrition science and nutritional biochemistry. I've been studying this stuff for years, okay, 20 years, 20 plus, I don't know, years, you know, like I've consistently done research and studied. And there's a lot of propaganda out there, okay? But there are also a lot of reputable scientists who are actually speaking the truth, okay? Oh, change my fire detection battery? I know, I'll do it at some point when I need a man to come do that. I'm like, I just block it out, but I do. Okay, so look, saturated fats, why we need animal fats for health and happiness. I'm sorry, it's called nourishing fats, not saturated fats, sorry. Nourishing fats. Why we need animal fats for health and happiness. Written by Sally Fallon. Very good book. Very good book, okay? But I spoke before, I did a video on endocannabinoids and nutrition. You know, lately I've been very much into studying cannabis science, which brings me right back to nutrition science and exercise physiology, which is my base. Because, you know, we have something called the endocannabinoid system. One day I will do a video on it, but until then, go on YouTube, look up endocannabinoid system. There are plenty of videos on the endocannabinoid system. And it's basically, we have a circulatory system, we have an immune system, a respiratory system, you know, all these different systems. And the endocannabinoid system is also a part of that. It's also another system, right? And we have receptors, you know, where this is the reason why cannabis works for so many things, because it binds to these CB1 and CB2 receptors that modulate so many things in the body, very much like vitamin D, right? But we also make our own cannabinoids. The cannabinoids from plants are called phytocannabinoids. We make our own, which are called endocannabinoids, that our body produces on the spot. The neurons actually produce it, okay, as needed. When it's needed, the body produces it. So you need arachidonic acid to make them. Good. I'm glad you said. I love networking with chefs. So one of my chef friends said that he got this book per my suggestion. It definitely helped his food business. And yeah, you gotta sort of define its ingredients. Exactly. I love collaborating with chefs, and I'm about to do it more, because a lot of times chefs give in to the healthy eating propaganda because they also have to please the people they're cooking for. And people think that butter and tallow and lard and all this is bad for you. And they think cooking with canola oil is good. No, canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, safflower oil, that's the stuff that causes inflammation, cancer, you know, metabolic issues, you know, all kinds of plaque in your arteries. It's that, okay? That's what it is. And I have videos where I get into depth about that as well. But this book I highly recommend. And so, So cholesterol is neuroprotective, just like cannabis. Okay, the CBD and THC have been shown to be very neuroprotective, helping you to regenerate more nerve cells. So does cholesterol. Okay, cholesterol is necessary. We can generate more brain cells. Sometimes we're told that we can't after we're grown. That's not true. But in order for that to happen, cholesterol must be present. Absolutely must be present. Okay, the connections that are made, how the signals are sent, cholesterol. And when cholesterol is not the huge one that's important, it is the arachidonic acid, which is a fat that can only be found in animals, egg yolks, meat, butter. Okay, arachidonic acid is what the endocannabinoids are made from. We have endocannabinoids that our body makes, anandamide and 2-AG. They're very chemically similar to THC, but our body produces them. And our body produces them, our neurons produce them on demand as we have something stressful or painful to deal with it. And when your body can adequately produce endocannabinoids on demand when needed, you are able to deal with a lot more stressful situations. And when I say stressful, I mean whether it be mentally or physically, a lot better, which is what cannabis helps people with, right? It also helps people with mental and physical stressors. And it's one thing if somebody's using cannabis medicine for an acute injury. Like I ripped my navel ring out my navel. I used the cannabis oil to stop the pain that was excruciating and prevent infection. I used it when I fell really hard on some ice and I felt like I was in a car accident. It helped me to heal. Those were acute injuries. But if somebody is using it for a chronic illness, like you're currently shaking, you're constantly shaking, you have multiple sclerosis, you have an autoimmune disease. My question is, why do you have that? Because a lot of these illnesses, like fibromyalgia, okay, which is like body pain and gastrointestinal problems, fibromyalgia and endometriosis. I think there's a bunch of chronic illnesses that now they're saying are endocannabinoid deficiencies. They're linked to endocannabinoid deficiencies. So let's bring in the cannabis, and the cannabis will help, which it does, okay, because they're phytocannabinoids, it does. But my question is, why do you have that problem to begin with? Why do you have an endocannabinoid deficiency to begin with? Let's look at your diet. Are you eating lots of egg yolks and butter and some steaks, some raw dairy, seafood, fish eggs, things like that? Are you eating that, or are you eating things cooking soybean oil and you're just cooking with olive oil and you think, I just cook with olive oil and coconut oil? Olive oil and coconut oil is cool, but they are not what you need for your brain. They are not, let me repeat, what you need for your brain. Olive oil does nothing for your brain, okay? Coconut oil does nothing for your brain. Coconut oil is excellent for antiviral purposes. Very antimicrobial, kills viruses, bacteria, and it can help you burn fat. Okay, so your immune system and your fat burning potential, but it does nothing for your brain. For your brain, you need long chain saturated fats and long chain omega-3, like the EPA and DHA, which only comes from animals. Okay, and then the long chain arachidonic acid, which is an omega-6 fat, which only comes from animals. And some vegetarians will say, oh, well, you can produce EPA and DHA from ALA. ALA is the omega-3 that occurs in plants. It is not the same thing as the one that occurs in animals, which is the EPA and DHA. One may argue that the body can convert ALA into EPA and DHA, and it can, but it's very inefficient, number one. And number two, okay, let's hold that to the side. The parent molecule, ALA, which comes from plants, can be converted to the animal-based EPA DHA, but the enzyme that does that is also involved in converting the rancid seed oil versions of omega-6 into arachidonic acid, okay? Because there are omega-6s in the rancid seed oils that I just mentioned, the soybean, canola, safflower, all that stuff. There's an enzyme that can convert those into arachidonic acid, but it's very inefficient. Again, if you have any kind of metabolic issues or whatever, like, it can be very inefficient. But also, it's the same enzyme involved in both of those processes. And consuming too much EPA, which is in fish oil, okay, causes an imbalance with that with that conversion as well and that enzyme. Okay, consuming too much EPA can cause a deficiency in arachidonic acid in DHA, right? And so this is one of the reasons why we don't want to consume fish oil. Okay, fish oil is a commercial byproduct of the food industry. It is rancid, and it's very heavy in the EPA, which we don't want to have be so heavy on the EPA. You see a little EPA, more DHA. It's very heavy in the EPA, no vitamin A and no vitamin D. Okay, cod liver oil has vitamin A and D, EPA, DHA in a perfect balance. And vitamin A and vitamin D are also very important for your brain health, for your immune system, for your brain health, okay? So they work synergistically. Also, even with your endocannabinoid system, vitamin D is involved in that, cholesterol is involved in that. First of all, vitamin D is made from cholesterol. You need to consume cholesterol to even make vitamin D, okay? And vitamin D occurs in cholesterol-rich foods, in foods that are rich in saturated fat. This is why you don't want to get your vitamin D from orange juice that's fortified. That means they added a fake vitamin D chemical, a fake vitamin D, which is a chemical structure that's different than what you get from nature. They put it in orange juice, which is just a bunch of sugar, when vitamin D is fat soluble, needs fat and cholesterol. Vitamin D is high in cheeses, okay? Raw dairies, milks, okay? Vitamin D is high in shellfish and fish eggs, liver, egg yolks. All those things are high in fat and cholesterol as well. Okay, shellfish is not high in fats, but it's very, very high in cholesterol. But that's why when I consume shellfish and other fish, I consume a lot of buttery sauces to give more fat. I need that fat. You know what I'm saying? Very important. Very important for your brain. As my parents age, like I took, my dad was cooking with canola oil and like corn oil. I took that out of the kitchen. I got him a bucket of lard, a bucket of tallow, a bucket of ghee, and that's what he cooks with. I'm like, Dad, if you run out, I will send you some more. Do not cook with anything else. So the question about the foods to increase the good cholesterol. So let me tell you that when people say good cholesterol, like you're taught that HDL is good and LDL is bad. That's a myth, okay? So I'm going to explain something about cholesterol. Okay, if you looked at the house across the street from you, right, and it just blew up in flames, and you look out the window and you see the house across the street that's blown up in flames, and then you see the fire department in front of the house, right? Somebody could say that the fire department set that house on fire because you see them there, right? But they didn't set the house on fire. They came to put the fire out, take people to the hospital, but just because they're at the scene, they're being accused of setting the fire. Now that I'm saying this, I wish I had this book that I could show you, but let me just continue with the story. So with cholesterol, HDL and LDL, one of them is going to the site of damage and the other one is taking damage away to be recycled, right? Cholesterol is an antioxidant. It repairs damage in the body. So when somebody's blood cholesterol levels are high, now sometimes even what the doctor says is high, a lot of times it's actually a good range, okay? Because studies show that around the world, people with low cholesterol, they die sooner, okay? They don't live as long. There's several studies that show this. And I have books on my page that I post. One of them, well, this one that I just showed, but also another book called The Big Fat Surprise, Why Meat, Cheese, and I think it's like meat, cheese, and dairy or something belong in a healthy diet. And it's written by the woman who wrote the foreword of this book, Nina, I can't pronounce her last name. Nina T, okay? The Big Fat Surprise. And there are several other books that I can recommend. But cholesterol repairs damage. So like if you get surgery today, right, your cholesterol levels are going to go up tomorrow because the cholesterol is going to the site of damage and is helping to repair it. It's not causing the problems. So when somebody consumes a pro-inflammatory fat, like the rancid seed oil omega-3s, like canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, when you consume those and sugar, those cause inflammation in the body. That's what causes inflammation and scarring in the arteries. The cholesterol is then sent to that site to repair that damage. But cholesterol is not what is causing heart attacks or anything. That's propaganda science that came from this guy Ancel Keys, and you can go on YouTube and look it up. You can go on YouTube and look it up. Ancel Keys, who's an American scientist that came up with this propaganda that cholesterol causes heart attacks. which is totally not true. Okay, you need lots of cholesterol for your heart, for your brain, for your immune system. Now, so the HDL LDL thing is not a thing. Okay, and if somebody's blood cholesterol is at 230, that's a good number. The doctor will say 200 over 200 is too high. You have to be on medication. Not true. Okay, but then if somebody's levels were outrageous, then you have to say, okay, what's going on in that person's body? There's inflammation going on inside the body. That person might have some type of inflammatory issue happening where the body's producing more cholesterol. But again, the body's producing the cholesterol to repair damage. It is not out to hurt you. Now, when it comes to bad cholesterol is oxidized cholesterol. Okay? Not LDL, HDL, LDL, no. Bad cholesterol is oxidized cholesterol, and that is the cholesterol that you get in powdered milk products. Like if you're consuming protein shakes, if you're consuming low-fat milk or skim milk, they use powdered milk. A lot of ice creams might use powdered milk. A lot of countries I've gone to in the Caribbean, they use powdered milk. Powdered milk, when you powder the milk into any type of powder, okay, it becomes the cholesterol oxidizes, and that becomes very, very toxic. So that's what's bad, okay? But in terms of the cholesterol that's coming from the animal foods you're eating, the more the merrier. There's nothing bad about any of it. Now, the doctor is going to tell you something different, but of course that's because they've been indoctrinated and they don't understand it. They're not nutrition people anyway, but people have been indoctrinated. That's why I post a lot of books on my pages that are written by doctors and nutritionists and stuff who do get it and speak about this, because I'm not the only one. I know some people think that, they only hear me saying this. There are other people saying it too. They just don't get the light by the media. The propaganda is put out. It's important to look at your families. Look at your families. Do you have anybody in your family that lived to be 100, over 100? What did they eat? Were they cooking on traditional fats like tallow? Were they cooking with butter all the time and eating bacon and eggs? Were they eating organ meats and stews? How were they eating? We have to look at that before that's a thing of the past. Nobody's ever seen that anymore because this younger generation is very, very sickly. But yeah, so all cholesterol is good cholesterol, okay? That and the cholesterol that you're consuming is different than the cholesterol that your body makes. Your body makes cholesterol to repair damage. The cholesterol that you're eating is what your body uses to make your sex hormones, to make your vitamin D. Okay, so even if you're in the sun, you have to consume enough cholesterol for your body to make vitamin D. Vitamin D is made from cholesterol. And a lot of people have vitamin D deficiencies. So cholesterol is super important for the health of the brain, for the brain sending signals for it developing, to protect. It's neuroprotective. It protects against neural degenerative diseases. And then, look, in this book it says, I'm going to read you a paragraph. It says, high levels of cholesterol in the blood provide protection against mental decline. A 2005 Swedish study analyzed data from 392 men and women in Gothenburg, I don't know how to pronounce this, Gothenburg, Sweden, over an 18-year period. Researchers found that high total cholesterol at ages 70, 75, and 79 was associated with a reduced risk of dementia. So let me read that again. Researchers found that high total cholesterol at ages 70, 75, and 79 was associated with a reduced risk of dementia. I'm sorry, hold on. I didn't finish the sentence. Let me read that sentence. I was too busy. I just realized that I stopped the sentence in the middle, so let me go back and read the whole sentence again. Sorry. Let me stop focusing on the camera and read. Okay. Researchers found the high total cholesterol at ages 70, 75, and 79 was associated with a reduced risk of dementia between ages 79 and 88. American researchers found that in the elderly, the best memory function was observed in those with the highest levels of cholesterol. Low cholesterol was associated with an increased risk for depression and even death. Okay? Low cholesterol, depression, and death. Okay? Now, there are many studies that talk about this. Check out the book, The Big Fat Surprise. Okay? I've been on this for a very long time. Then, a 2005, let's see. A 2005 follow-up to the famous Framingham Heart Study, published in the Psychosomatic Medicine, found that lower naturally occurring total cholesterol levels were associated with poorer performance on cognitive measures such as abstract reasoning, attention, concentration, word fluency, and executive functioning. So cholesterol is important for neuromotor stuff as well. Okay. Now here it says, the University of North Dakota researchers found that 45 pilots who ate the fattiest foods, such as butter or gravy, had the quickest response times in mental tests and made fewer mistakes when flying in tricky cloud conditions. Okay? And the military cares about this because they invest a lot in their pilots. Animal fats supply much needed cholesterol, cholesterol for the brain forming in utero, cholesterol for the brain that is growing and maturing in the infant and child, and cholesterol for the mature brain of the adult. And this is exactly what I was saying. Okay? Now, I'm going to go into more of this on I was making a Patreon page, which was for the body scientist, but Patreon is too confusing to me, so I'm just going to put it on OnlyFans. So it's going to be onlyfans.com /the body scientist. And that page will be going live tonight. Okay, onlyfans.com /the body scientist, where I will get more in depth on some of these topics. Because truly, when I post these videos on YouTube, I get like 100 views, right? But I know some people are really interested in these topics. So I will go more in depth on there. And people can request me ask certain questions on there. And I will do more in depth videos because there's so much more I can say. I'm just going to say that, you know, aging people, every age, okay, but especially in utero, the babies, the children, and the elderly need lots of cholesterol and saturated fat and long-chained saturated fat, not the saturated fat from coconut oil and palm oil, okay, which are medium and short-chained, okay, long-chained arachidonic acid, okay, long-chain EPA DHA, all right? And it has to be the right balances. You do not want to consume fish oil. Fish oil is toxic. You want to consume a high-quality cod liver oil. I consume a fermented one, okay? Cod liver oil has the perfect balance of EPA and DHA, which you need for your brain. Absolutely critical. Critical for producing endocannabinoids. Same thing with arachidonic acid, okay? Critical for sending brain signals, okay? And keeping your brain healthy. If somebody is getting Alzheimer's, multiple sclerosis, any of that stuff, I immediately think to myself, was that person eating traditional fats? Was that person on cholesterol-lowering medication? Was that person eating a bunch of so-called vegetable oil, which is really seed oils, canola oil, corn oil, soybean oil, which a lot of people do. It's in everything that's called health food. They have those toxic oils in it. You know, was that person consuming those oils and everything from the health food store, but avoiding butter and avoiding, you know, cholesterol? That's who I feel like, you know, a lot of times when people are having this neurodegenerative brain problems, that's what it is. That's what it is. So anybody watching this, have you noticed that? Have you noticed people in your family who maybe ate these traditional fats that I'm talking about? The butter, the lard, the tallow, duck fat, whatever. Have you noticed bacon fat? Have you seen people in your family live, you know, close to 100 or past it with good brains and faculties about themselves eating those fats? Have you, you know, the people that might have gotten the mental decline, what fats were they eating? Were they eating cereal for breakfast? Were they, you know, going to the health food store and consuming, you know, stuff that has canola oil in it? You know, were they eating granola and low-fat yogurt? Or were they eating organ meats and broths and butter and eggs every day? You know, look at that. That's your assignment, okay? So I'm going to end with this. I will get more in depth on it on my OnlyFans page. /the body scientist, that will be going live tonight, okay? If you learned something from this, please like it, please share it. If you're on IG, please follow me on YouTube, The Body Scientist 81. And if you're on YouTube, please follow me on IG. And I hope you all are doing well. Take care of yourselves, take care of your brain, take care of your families, and all that good stuff, all right? Bye.